Yeah, I'm feeling that too. With attendance. I think last week I had 28% of my students check in, and I haven't figured it. It was more this week. Um, and I was giggling today because it was record keeping day, no school today.
Hmm.
But about 1 o'clock, 1:30, all these emails started coming in from kids I've not heard from at all, asking me how they're supposed to turn in these projects. So I was like, okay, cool. They've been doing these projects, but also like I created a really nice tutorial.
I know. You see
It's
those
like,
memes?
oh no.
Yeah, you see the memes on Facebook or whatever that are like, la 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 la, read the directions, just yeah, it's a
Oh, and
struggle to get them to see the details and
well, and
yeah.
it's like being at school. It's like read
Hmm.
the entire thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And one of them was for the pop music project where the final part, it says explicitly in the directions, click on this link, use this code, blah 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 blah. And the student's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I'm just like,
It makes me
oh,
feel
and this
better
is
that
why we have office hours that you are all supposed to come to.
right. Yeah, I know I get the
Bless you.
email. My favorite is the email, 20 minutes into my office hours. And I say, "Oh, great, I'm online right now. Remember, you can go in my office hours between 10 and noon and ask me these questions. It's a lot easier if we just connect live." And because I'll explain what I can in typed, response, but there's only so much you can
Right.
type to make it make sense. And
Yeah,
and then they never show up. And then they're asking again. And I'm like, oh,
I
just
know.
use the video chat. It's way easier.
I wonder, have you had a lot of students use video chat, like come into your office hours?
It's been sporadic.
Mm.
I'm actually going to enter grades to the actual grade book this weekend because, because I was dealing with trying to do the attendance thing
Mm.
a little bit. And I have 300 students.
Oh,
Some of my elective colleagues have 400 students, and it's really difficult to track. I mean, Wednesday, it took me 2 hours to go through all of my courses and just like glance at, like, you can see in Schoology, like you can see like the last time they accessed your specific course.
oh, I
So I
wish
could
we had that.
so
Oh,
I could at least see, like, okay, they at least went in and looked in my course at some point this week, right? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And then I went and looked in the grade book, and if they had done nothing or they had nothing done last week or this week, then I added their name to the list. And yeah, so that took a couple hours on Wednesday, and I sent an email out to everybody, including their parents, those on that list, and just was like, "Hey, I haven't seen you yet this week. Where are you? And make sure you get in, and don't forget, you know, here's my office hours," and sent them the link and all that. And I did get a good response as far as like more kids got on and got stuff done. But in talking with a lot of our other electives people, it kind of sounds like we're in the zone of like, as far as, barring work completion, as far as like actually engaging and doing a couple of this more simple things and at least checking in with the class, we still have 10 to 15% of our kids that aren't even connecting at all. Or maybe they're only going into like two of their courses.
mm,
So that's kind of where we're at is, and elective courses, I think that percentage is slightly higher.
mm.
Just because the kids are at the middle school are just like they're focusing on managing how to get into everything, and they don't always get in and finish our items yet,
Mhm,
because they don't understand their math, so they don't, things
mhm.
like that. So but
Heidi,
yeah.
your picture froze. You kind of look like this ghost type picture.
Oh no.
Okay. We can still
you're
hear your voice though.
you're lovely and moving, and I'm moving on my computer, so
Well, we'll just pretend. Um, what is the attendance expectations for your school? I mean, are students supposed to check in every day? I mean, how?
It's very ambiguous in our
Yeah.
district, and they've left it up to the building administrators to figure it
Mhm.
out. And like, I feel like we kind of have a different process by grade level in our
There you
building.
are.
Yay. that process is slightly different, or I don't know. It feels like we don't all have the same message. And for those of us in electives, we have sixth, seventh, and eighth graders, and
Mhm.
to get one message from one person and a slightly different one from another, it's really hard for us to track. And then we have so many more kids than the other folks in the building, so it became a bit overwhelming, and I kind of had a little little Heidi meltdown earlier today.
Oh, yeah,
I'm okay now, but it was rough, and I thank goodness I had my husband to vent with today, because
yeah.
I needed it, So
It is just kind of, so I have not had a single student come in during any of my office
oh
hours.
no.
My house is
Oh.
getting so clean though. You just leave it open, turn off the mic, and I
Yeah.
mean, they're emailing. So I'm also wondering if they're uncomfortable with that. Uh,
Mm.
they're
Oh
like,
yeah, I have.
I don't know. And that's just the nature of my classes because so many of my students don't have instruments at home.
Mhm.
Um, but I received some cool projects today, which was affirming. It's like, okay, you're doing some stuff that's good. I I really miss
Yeah.
you. I don't know if it's that I miss them.
I That's interesting, because I think high schoolers can be so much more
Mhm.
independent, a lot of them, and so you might not see them pop in because they don't need to,
I
you
know.
know. I know, which is sad.
I need
I
them too.
yeah, I know you need them too. And some of them, like, maybe aren't engaging with the materials at all yet, and that might be the scary thing, is that they just haven't gotten to that point yet.
I know.
I've used video chat a few different ways. We have our open office hours, and the first week I had this one kid showed up every day just to hang out and show me and play for me his sound trap projects.
Oh, cool.
And because he's done like tons extra because he likes it. And so that's been really fun. But I kind of had to boot him out. I was like, I notice you don't have my this, that, or the next thing completed for your task this week. Maybe you should get off and do some of your homework, because I bet you have some other things in other classes. And so he's like, okay, yeah, you're right. So
Nice.
I did have about 4 or 6 graders that were kind of popping in a lot just to check
Oh,
in and say hello and socialize. I think they're lonely too,
sure.
and they aren't as connected as some of the older kids. The older kids will have more of the social media stuff. So a lot of
Mhm,
sixth graders maybe don't have all those types of accounts
mhm,
yet.
mhm,
Um, so they're enjoying connecting this way, and so I see them more often.
yeah.
Um, I have had a few different kids that have figured out that they can get in, ask a quick question, and get out and be on their merry way. So I've had
That's
a few kids, yeah, they've actually popped in and used it. I had, I think it was Tuesday, I sent an email out to my fifth grade orchestra students, because I have some fifth grade lessons. And I CC'd the 3 fifth grade teachers in that building just so they saw it, because it was like a reminder of, hey, this is what I expect. I'm trying to keep this just like our weekly lessons. And here's my office hours link. And the fifth graders in that school have a meeting at 9:30 in the morning with their classes. So
wow.
like all, I think they only have like 25 kids in a class, so like all those kids are in a little group meeting with their
Wow.
teacher at 9:30. And so I'm sure not all of them show up, but they said they're pretty good about it. And they like do a share out of what they've done since the day before, and then the teacher talks about like what needs to happen, right? And so they must have mentioned it, because that next day I had 4 of them pop in right at 10 o'clock. And then they were so funny. Oh, and then like, so they kind of pop, they talk, and I make sure they know what they're doing for orchestra, and then we talk about silly things, and then they all said goodbye. 2 minutes later, this one girl who kind of struggles all the time, even in regular school days, she
Hmm.
pops back in. She goes, Miss Dodola, do you want to play hot cross buns with me?
Oh.
So we played hot cross buns. I put her on mute so she could play along with me, and it was really fun. And then she goes, "Can we play for my mom?" And she walks me out to her
Oh
mom,
my
and
gosh, that's so
we
sweet.
played for her mom, and it was adorable. And so, yeah, she's popped in now 3 days in a row, I think, because she kind of needs a little extra. And so I helped her through 2 easy assignments, and now I think maybe she knows where to go. We'll see if she actually follows through. But
Oh,
yeah,
that's just
it was
oh,
cute. Yeah. And I
oh,
did, like, I've done video chat outside of my office hours
mhm,
for like one girl, she's been out with some chemo and stuff, and her mom messaged me and was like, "Hey, it's a good week this week. Can we do a cello lesson on Google Meet?" And I'm like, "Yeah." So we scheduled a time and worked for about 30 minutes together. I helped her tune the beast because it was a mess, and then, I did the same thing, muted her and had her play along with me, and then, we stopped and I had her unmute so I could hear her play. And yeah, so that was cool.
it's when you mute her, does that help with the delay a bit, you think?
Yeah, what it does for me is it, like, they're still delayed visually, but I'm not hearing that delay.
Mm,
And so I can ignore it and I can just keep playing in time
yeah, okay.
for her to stay with me. And then I can usually see if they're fumbling, and not keeping up. So I can be like, "Hey, do you want to start that again?" And they'll be like, and
Yeah,
yeah, it
oh,
just takes
got it.
away the delay for me.
Nice,
And then I have them unmute to play whatever we did for me alone, so then they play. So
nice.
yeah, it worked pretty well. And the other thing I've done is, like, some of the kids that I haven't seen, I've called, and those that I've gotten a hold of, I'm like, "Do you want to pop on video chat right now and let me show you things?" And then they get on and I show them how to do things. I have them present their screen to me, and I show them how to navigate through Schoology, and I usually have them pick one other class so that they can, like, I'm like, "Okay, what class haven't you been in yet?" "Oh, I haven't looked in social studies." "Okay, look in social studies." And then we figure out how to find their weekly lessons in that other class too.
Heidi, you're doing so much.
Well, good
It's
Lord, these poor
amazing.
children don't know what to do. Some of our lost souls, the younger lost souls, it's mostly been sixth graders, you
Yeah,
know?
6th graders are funny. I feel the same way about high schoolers, like, we just assume that they're gonna know how to
Mhm.
use this
Mhm.
technology. We just assume they're digital natives, and, I mean, for a lot at least in our district I feel like you're in Osseo, right?
Mhm.
Do you have a large EL population?
There's a fair amount. It depends on the school.
Mm. I
Um,
mean, like, none of this stuff is translated, so, we don't have that, um,
yeah, I just
that's hard, and the kids are just figuring and we have for us, we have to put all of our assignments on by Monday morning, so they get all these emails.
uh
I would be
mo
so overwhelmed if
most
I
of
was
our kids, I think most of our kids have figured out how to turn off that notification because you can customize that a little bit. And I,
maybe that's why no kids are coming to my class. Let's
I
turn
mean,
her off.
it's just like the kids they would rather log into Schoology and go,
Sure.
"Okay, what do I have to do?" They don't want a bunch of emails. In
Yeah.
fact, for our kids, they don't look at the emails because there are so many of them.
Mhm.
They don't realize until one of us says something to them, they don't realize they can turn off their notification.
Mm.
Um, so, like, they still see the notifications within Schoology, but they
Yeah.
aren't getting an email every time something new is uploaded.
Mm.
So yeah. Email is like a defunct thing for them. I'm finding more
Yeah.
response through the messaging within Schoology.
Mm.
So when I send them a Schoology message, they see that in the message center within the website, and it seems to work better.
Hmm.
Some kids really like to use their email, and I get that specifically through their app's email. But yeah, that's yeah, how to communicate. I'm sure once I put grades in, I'm going to have a few freakouts, on Monday, and I'll probably have a lot of traffic in my office hours on Monday. So,
Is your quarter ended today?
no, it was just that I felt like that first week of distance learning, like I really didn't want to put in an
Mhm.
actual grade for any of that stuff.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm going to put in a grade now for week 1,
Mhm.
but so many
Mhm.
kids needed some catch-up time, and
Mhm.
we're struggling just to figure out how to manage it all, that I was like, I'm just gonna wait until week 2 is done.
Well,
So,
yeah, we extended our quarter.
mm,
Um, so it ended today, but I don't know if this is going to backfire. And I mean, I understand we're not supposed anything that was assigned the past 2 weeks of distance learning cannot negatively affect their grade. So we're essentially just kind of tossing the past 2 weeks in terms of grade, which is fine.
mhm,
Like, I understand that because we still have kids that don't have technology.
right.
But I wonder how that will that's the thing that I've been struggling with. Like I am not somebody who's like who thinks grades should be a gotcha type thing. It should be a demonstration of learning, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, I just wonder if are kids mature enough? Do they have that intrinsic motivation where they're like, "Oh, I'm going to do this because I want to get better," or is it, I'm going to do this so I can get the grade type thing? And so,
Yeah,
at least at the high school level, I think probably was like core subjects and stuff like that. I'm a little nervous as to what next quarter is going to look like.
yeah. And
See.
we're being told to grade as normal,
Mm,
however, to be like lenient and
mm,
work through the things with kids that are having issues. So,
yeah.
still assess their learning, but
Mhm,
if a kid has been a kid who's been struggling just to connect and get things done,
mm.
then take the things that they did
Oh
and
yeah.
maybe leave the other things blank. Like we're told to just kind of try to manage it case by case, and
Yeah.
but we're actually grading for real, and so I think I'm going to put in, for any of those kids that I'm concerned about, I'll put in a couple of items but leave
Mhm.
some things blank. But the kids that I've seen engaging a lot, I'll do everything for them, and if there's some missing grades, they can go back in and do it.
Oh yeah.
I don't care if it's super late, you know. We're all
Mhm.
trying to figure this out.
I know. I know. Oh,
So,
I just the magnitude of this has really kind of settled in for me. Like this is the rest of the school year.
I know, yeah. And I had a really good meeting with one of our other orchestra teachers.
Mm,
We got on and talked for over an hour about some ideas about where we were at with our different grade levels of orchestras, and kind of what seems to be manageable after seeing the
mm,
kids work for a couple of weeks. And we're kind of
mm,
realizing that if one week is a little bit heavier than the next week, that we should go a little lighter next week, because then if there's like a summative scale test or a song in that key, if there's something like that they had to do, which they were used to doing on their own anyway,
mm,
before this, so we're lucky with that. But to go a little lighter the next week, like a formative
mm,
week followed by a summative week. Just keep it kind of
mm,
like a little balanced so that they aren't
mhm.
overwhelmed and we're not overwhelmed.
Well, and certainly I know a few of the students I asked on one of the check-ins, like, how did last week go? And a couple students commented that it feels like they have more work to do. And it's like, well, you probably have the same amount, but you're at home trying
Mm,
to do it. Whereas normally you'd be at school and you have this dedicated time.
right.
Now you have
Where
like,
like you do that activity in your class and then you have like maybe one item to complete or
yeah,
something.
yeah.
Whereas
And
now you're
now
doing
all you
all of
have
it.
is homework.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah, I'm sure it
Oh.
seems like a lot. And we were told to kind of take our time of the week that we have the kids. Like if you have, say, a 45-minute class 3 times a week, cut that in half.
Mm,
Think about like how long would it take them to watch this 5-minute video and answer a quiz question or two. Okay, that's 10 minutes. Okay, well, that's half a class period. You know what I
mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
try to be set in that idea that this is going to take them longer because they're doing it independently. So,
And they, might be 4 people sharing a computer. I was talking with one of my
yeah.
undergrads. They all have their own computer at home, but there's 5 people at home vying for the same Wi-Fi,
Oh,
and
yeah.
that can also be really tough too.
Yep. Even the two of us, we're both teachers doing this thing on our
Mhm.
Wi-Fi. And, I was doing a lot of like video creation and, making a play along video for my kids. And then if I made it on my computer, I had to use the Wi-Fi. But then we figured out, put our phones on the cell
Oh,
network because it's unlimited data that we happen to have, And so then I started doing YouTube uploads on my phone, and this could work off to the side while I did other things, or my husband was on
yeah.
his computer. So that has been a lot better until
Mhm.
yesterday when I absentmindedly made a video really quick with my computer and then pushed upload, and I went, oh crap. He comes running downstairs. He's like, are you doing something weird? Yes, I am. What did I interrupt? Oh, just an application. So,
Oh,
oh
man.
well.
I can't wait to go back to school.
I know. I need normalcy again. I like people. I like moving. Being stuck in this chair is
Yeah,
horrible. Ugh. And my
I can't
back.
wait
Oh,
for next fall.
I,
Bring it on.
cross the fingers, right? I
We're
mean,
not even thinking about that.
no, we aren't. But yuck. I know. It's. Mm-hmm.
Well, thanks for chatting today,
Yeah.
Heidi.
Yeah. Happy to be here. I love hearing your voice through all the fun videos you're doing. It's just good to hear other perspectives and to hear everybody's happy faces, even
Yeah,
though we're not
for
always happy.
sure. For sure. Well,
All right.
pause this for a second. I'm stopping it.